I'm Michael Bain, and welcome to Triggered, coming to you as always from the secret hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains, brought to you this week by Rock Island Armory. And we're here in Dragon House Studios with a whole bunch of my semi-automatic shotguns. Now, as we know, in a lot of ways, training resembles fashion. And one of the current trends is the return of the 12-gauge shotgun as an ideal home defense, self-defense type weapon. And it is. It delivers a staggering amount of firepower in 12 gauge with buckshot, typically double-aught buckshot, more so than virtually any kind of firearm. And the other advantage that it has is it's relatively inexpensive considering what it offers. So the top defensive shotgun in the country right now is the Beretta 1301, as overhauled by Ernest Langdon Tactical. It's a great shotgun. Put your name on the list. It's also an expensive shotgun. So I wanted to show you some of my alternatives. And interestingly enough, all of them spent time in 3-gun. This was always my go-to 3-gun shotgun. It is a Remington Versamax. Versamax came out in 2010. And this one's 26-inch Versamax. It's been modified locally. Typical 3-gun mods, a big button to release the bolt. It's been hogged out to make it easier to load. The lifter has been modified so you can't get your finger stuck in the lifter and cut off the tip of your fingernail. It's an 8-shot tube on it with 2 +2 extension, Nordic +2 extension. This rail is an Aridus Industries rail. It's probably the best, to me, red dot sight rail that you can put on a shotgun. It sits down low. It's going to sit lower than a Picatinny rail that you attach. The reason I like this shotgun is because I believe it's one of the best shotguns ever made. Remington made a lot of promises on it. And plus, they called it a Versamax, which, you know, it sounds suspiciously like a 1950s kitchen implement, you know, that you used to chop stuff. But this gun does everything Remington says it would do. It's virtually indestructible. It has a dual piston gas system that nods its head to the Benelli M4 and a really unique way of handling cartridges so that it will run with anything. When I first got this gun, I ran 500 rounds through it out of a bucket of shotgun shells, where shotgun shells were just thrown in. So it had 2 3/4, it had 3-inch, it had 3.5-inch, it had buckshot, slugs, ultralight target loads. It never missed a beat. And in multiple years of 3-gun, it never missed a beat. So one of the reasons that I haven't said, if I don't get a Langdon Tactical or I don't get a Benelli M4, I don't know, I'll hold my breath till I turn blue. This gun is one of the best shotguns I've ever owned. So right now, Remington is ramping up to do the Versamax 2, the new Remington. But some of these Versamaxes, which were $2,000 shotguns, $1,500, $1,800 shotguns, you can pick up for $600 or $700. You'll have to be like me and suffer for the parts, but boy, is it a good gun. When we come back, we're going to talk about a couple of other options for you. Welcome back to Triggered, and let's talk a little bit about semi-auto self-defense shotguns that are within a price range that makes sense. This is VR80 from Rock Island Armory, 12-gauge semi-auto shotgun, gas-operated shotgun with magazine feed, 5-round magazines, 9-round magazines, 19-round magazines. This was also a 3-gun gun, and I used it in open class. It's a different class of 3-gun. And this gun bumped me up from the bottom to the middle. And believe me, I really appreciated that. But this is roughly a $700, $800 gun. And I have found it to be inordinately reliable. Once again, Martin Tuason head of Arms Corps and Rock Island Armory, spent some time in Turkey working on the design of this gun, getting it exactly the way he wanted it. As a consequence, it is a super, super little gun. Also, you've seen this one in the last few weeks from us. This is the shotgun deal of the century, as we like to say, humorously like to say. It is the Military Arms Corporation MAC 2. So far, absolutely incredible gun. My friend Gaines Davis in Turkey, who designed this gun working with Military Armament Corporation, said, hey, be sure to tell them that it's got a lot of the 3-gun stuff already in it. Gaines and I shot 3-gun together. Extended operating handle. You can see that the lifter has been modified, so it's a lot harder to get your fingers stuck in it. A few other competition points that make this shotgun maybe the best deal ever at like $400 or $549. Incredible deal. And finally, I would be remiss if I didn't show you one more semi-automatic shotgun that I have a ton of faith in. This is a Mossberg 930. It is a Jerry Michalik signature model. And this was my backup shotgun in 3-gun. It's the shotgun I always carried in case one of the primaries went down. And the matches that I used it in a couple, 3 matches because I wanted to make sure it was going to run, it was going to feel the way it needed to feel. It was a rock. Now it's a 930. The current Mossbergs are 940s. Interestingly enough, the modifications on the 940s are exactly the same as the modifications I made to this gas system. So competition is a way of hammering out better guns. When we come back, leather time. This week's Triggered is brought to you by Taurus USA. Always ready, always bring it. Stoger, everyday tough. SDS Imports, Thesis. Thesis means quality. Hunter's HD Gold. They change so you don't have to. And MTM Case Guard, quality shooting sports accessories. Welcome back to Triggered. If you recall a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about this gun, a Henry Big Boy 38-357, which I said is kind of the ultimate retro revolver. But what do you carry the ultimate retro revolver in? Well, I reached out to my friend Rob Leahy at Simply Rugged Leather in Prescott, Arizona. Rob and I have been friends for decades, 2.5 decades, back when he was a beginning holster maker in Wasilla, Alaska. I met him, I got leather goods from him, he's super. So I started telling him what I thought the holster should be, and he's like, stop, Michael. I said, oh. You need to tell me what the holster should be because you make a lot of holsters. So this came in the mail today, and I think it is the ideal holster for a retro gun. Obviously, it's a flap holster, a belt holster. Flap holsters have a really retro look to them, but they actually make a lot of sense in the woods because it turns out that the woods is full of things like dirt, rain, bears, who knows. But the flap holster protects the gun and it carries on the belt. It has a really excellent, good look to it. It's a perfect fit for the Henry. Rob also sent along an ammunition carrier. Now, what it does is it carries 2 rounds of 38 or 357 in these pouches. And then that way, when you draw to reload, you're pulling 2 rounds, which is a lot easier way of reloading the gun. If you're not carrying a speed loader, this is a very, very good way to do it. And the 2-2-2 system is pretty easy to learn. So, Rob Leahy, Simply Rugged Leather. This is a Simply Rugged holster for a rugged gun. I'm Michael Bain. This is Triggered. You can find us on michaelbain.tv, where we are always free. You can also find us on YouTube. You can find us on Rumble. And you can also find us on Twitter. And you're probably going to want to follow us on Twitter. We got one of those blue checks. Isn't that cool? Thanks to Rock Island Armory. We'll see you next week.